So during the last part of this session, what I really want to talk about is the analytics. So both from a teacher's point of view as well as from a student's point of view, it's really important to actually show students their own progress so that they can start taking more accountability for the work that they're doing on Mangahigh, and that they can measure their own progress and measure their own growth on Mangahigh using the analytics that's available to them as well. So I'm going to jump over to a student count to begin with so that we can have a look to see what type of analytics is available to the students. So to begin with, when your students log into their account, they can see obviously the list of assigned activities, what's been recommended to them, etc. But if they click into their name, they can see their own ranking. They can traditionally have always been able to see how many medals they've earned, how many medal points they've earned. Now, this new tab called Progress is where they can now start tracking their own progress against the curriculum progress. So in other words, if you had said, look, Michelle's working towards the Year 6 curriculum, then what would happen is the curriculum measure here will actually show you the percentage achievements towards the Year 6 completion of the Year 6 curriculum. This one here shows Michelle how many % of the assignment she has completed, and of course how many medals she's earned so far, etc. Now, if she clicks into assignments, she can also see what activity she has done that she's passed in and the medal she's earned. She can see what activity she has attempted but not passed in. But importantly, she can then go through the task here and actually click play so that she can start adding, and actually start moving up the that percentage score. And of course, as you assign more activities for the students, that's going to be weighed down again until until the student actually catches up and start working through. But the important thing here is we really want our students to start being more knowledgeable about their own progress, especially the curriculum progress, which I think is really important. Okay, so the way your students will access this, just again, click on Michelle or click on their name, click on progress, and they can track their own progress. And of course, they can also use the curriculum, sorry, not the curriculum filter, but the calendar filter, so she can see, her progress today, her progress this week, etc. And of course, for this particular student, it's quite new for her. But as your students spend, weeks upon weeks on Mangahigh, this data will become very fulfilling for them to have a look at and track and measure and so forth. I was talking to a school just a couple of weeks ago in Adelaide where they're looking at creating a whole statistics unit around their report, the data that's available to them on Mangahigh as well. Okay, now let's have a look at the let's have a look at the teachers' data. So if I'm a teacher, the first level of data I look at is the school assignments. Basically, this gives you all of the data around the assignments that your students are currently working on. In other words, the activities that are now appearing on your students' to-do list or their assigned list. As a teacher, the first thing you want to look at is click on the activity. Okay, and you can find the activity that your students are working on. It actually shows you who the students are, how many attempts they've made in order to achieve their highest achievement. So we've got Giovanna here who's made 31 attempts, which is amazing, and when the best attempt was. You can also scroll further down and start seeing students who have made multiple attempts but still still haven't passed. So Rebecca, Terence, and Marcos looks like they're giving it a good crack at trying to pass the activity, but it doesn't look like they've been successful. So to Rebecca, Terence, and Marcos, what I would do in class time is to maybe tap them on the shoulder, perhaps get them all three to come along, and then we'll actually have a play of this activity together. And really just run through the activity as a small group so that you can address, individual questions and so forth. All right. So the way you would do this, basically, in assignments, we were looking at the reports. If you click on info, you can click play and actually play that activity together as a small group. And that really helps the teachers, you as a teacher, actually manage students who you really need to work one-on-one with, rather than wondering whether or not the students are actually doing well or not. So then you've got the rest of the class who are obviously progressing quite well. And then you have your Bobby, Ashlyn, etc. that actually hasn't gotten started yet. So your conversation with them obviously is, let's get started. Now, clicking into the reports section of our teacher platform, what you can see are the assignments report, the curriculum progress report, achievements, which shows you how many medals your students have earned over the time period that you've selected, and of course effort, the amount of time your students are spending on the program, and the independent activities. Now from here you can select the time frame you want to look at. So for example, if you're interested in looking at the report that relates to this week only, simply click on this week and that will re-aggregate itself to show this week's progress. Now when we click on the assignments report, it's all about reporting against the assignments that you have assigned for your students. So clicking into assignments, you can see in this case 56% completion by this class. Clicking through, you can see which of your students have achieved 100%, scroll down to see 100 or 50 and so forth. You can also click on Show Grid View, where you can look at this in more detail. And of course, in this particular case, there are 2 activities that's been set. But as the time progresses, or as the term progresses, this list here will get larger sideways. All right. So if you need to look at more detail with a particular assignment, simply click on the assignment title. Or if you want to look at more details for each individual student, simply click on individual students' names there. And all of this information, whether it be the data around class or particular activities or individual students, you can click on the Download Excel button there as well. Okay. Now, if your students have reattempted a task past the due date and have managed to upgrade their medal, how it will show up on your grid view will be a large medal, which is what medal they achieved before the due date, and a little medal on the corner, which shows them the upgraded version of the medal. So if, say, for example, Alice has completed this task or reattempted this task and got a silver medal, how it would appear on her report will be a large bronze medal with a little silver medal on the side. Okay, so that's just a point to note as well. So one last thing I want to show you is if you want to print off individual student reports, so similar to the version that your students can actually view on their own student page, what you can do is click into the class where you see the report for the class. Click on the students on the top right hand corner, which will give you a list of the students that are in your class. Click on one of them. And now you get to see the reports that is relevant to that particular student. Now, if you want to print this off as part of parent-teacher interviews, simply right-click on your computer and print, and it should show up the report summary just for your students for the time period that you've selected as well. So it could be this month, this week, or perhaps this academic term, and so forth. So that's it for now. Please let me know if you have any questions. As always, I will be here to support you via email, via message chats. So as anything comes up, just make sure you type in, click on that little sort of icon on the bottom right corner. If you need to start a new conversation, just make sure you type in your message and then we will respond to you as well. Okay, thank you so much for joining me today, and all the best, and I'll look forward to working with you further. Bye for now.